You're listening to Sips of Sanity, your toolkit for emotional and intuitive intelligence, or what we like to call the dirty work. Let's do it. Hi, Kelly. How are you doing? I'm excited. This is one of my favorite topics. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about this topic too. It might not be my most favorite topic, but it's up there. Mm-hmm. So we are interested in helping you guys learn how you communicate.
I bet you they're all like, duh, wasn't that last month with Carmen Theobald? Yep.
Yes.
And isn't that every month in Sips of Sanity where you're giving us tools so we can be better communicators? Yep.
Right, because we care about the quality of your thinking.
And the quality of your connections.
Yes.
And they go hand in hand.
Yes. And I was going to say, without knowing how you think
or feel or both,
right? You're not going to be able to clearly communicate. Mm-hmm. There could be a complete disconnect in I think I'm presenting myself as this kind of a person, and people around you don't see you the way you see yourself at all. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be talking about aggressive, assertive, passive, and passive-aggressive styles today. And we want each of you to be able to, without a doubt, at the end of each conversation, understand which one you are by identifying how you communicate. Mm-hmm. And as you said, Kelly, secondly is, and what you feel. Mm-hmm. When you're communicating in any conversation. So we're talking about personal relationships, work relationships, friendships, strangers.
Yeah, any and all interactions that you're having with others.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to break it down into the 4 different kinds, and then in the 5th and final show on Friday, we're going to put all things together for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for anyone who's not part of our Patreon membership, come on over to the light side. This is a really great platform to gain emotionally intelligent and intuitive intelligence tools. This is where the entire series exists upon other benefits. Or you can just listen to the free show, and that's great, and we're glad you came. Mm-hmm. But for those of you who are patrons, you are not new, get out your emotional wheel before you start listening. So if you need to hit pause, go grab that little best friend of yours and get that out.
And if you're somebody that's listening on YouTube and you haven't got that, you can go to Google.
Yeah.
Just hit pause, go to Google, research, or just type in emotional wheel. There will be all kinds of them. If you have the ability to pull it up on a device, if you have the ability to print it out or to save it to a photo and pull it up on your your phone or some device, that could be very helpful for these conversations as well as a shit ton of other things in life. Mm-hmm. Okay, so are you ready to start?
I am.
Let's begin with passive.
Okay.
And I'm going to read right off my piece of paper what passive is so people can understand a passive communication style. Mm-hmm. Passive communication is a style in which individuals have developed a pattern of avoiding expressing their opinions or feelings.
Can we pause?
Yeah.
So it looks like an avoidance of expression. Because I think some people will listen to the definition and be like, okay, and really glaze over or skim over envisioning what that looks like when they're in conversation with someone. Mm-hmm. Okay, keep going.
Protecting their rights.
Avoiding protecting their rights.
Yes.
Okay.
We're giving a list. They're avoiding expressing their feelings, their opinion of their feelings, protecting their rights, and identifying and meeting their own needs. Mm.
So there's an abnegation of self in conversation.
Oh, that is such a good way to word that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want a more jarring word, they're abandoning self in conversation.
Yes. That's a beautiful way of saying that. You're pinpointing the core of something that's going on within them so that they can understand, wow, this is the way that I communicate, and this is exactly really what I'm doing. I get to put words to it now. Mm-hmm. Can I continue? Mm-hmm. Okay. As a result, passive individuals do not respond overtly to hurtful or anger-inducing situations.
Not responding can mean they physically don't respond, right? They can look at us. They can pretend they didn't hear. They can say, I don't know. They can deflect in a lot of ways from having to actually have a voice in the conversation.
Oh, God, I love when you do that.
I want people to know what it looks like and what it sounds like.
Oh, I can think of being in a crowd or being standing in your own kitchen and somebody's talking and you know damn well that they're talking. And then what do you do when they ask, hey, did you hear me? Hey, I was talking to you.
What's that?
Didn't hear you. I was just reading. I was just cooking. And they go to the excuse of something because really and actually what they're doing in a communication style is this, they're avoiding. And that is being passive in how you communicate. And some people could live that 60 years of a marriage every single freaking day. And when their partner loses their shit and says, you can actually hear me. I'm standing right beside you, and they get angry. You stand there and you hunker down. I didn't hear you. Because you're frozen in your style. But once they have reached their high tolerance threshold for unacceptable behavior, they are prone to explosive outbursts, which are usually out of proportion to the triggering incident.
Right. And we've talked about this so much when we're referring to people pleasers who people please over and over again, which is the abandonment of the self. They get so fed up with the mounting poor behavior of others and then finally disproportionately swing their behavior into abusive behavior until they get so full of shame that they go right back into the passive communication style.
I believe you just read the next sentence. Or that you said that next sentence. After the outburst, however, they may feel shame, guilt, and confusion, so they return to being passive. So you beautifully pointed out the cycle of behavior. And if this happens over a slow period of time, where you go through all of these steps, you might not be able to recognize that you're doing it. You might have a little bit of homework here to see your own behavior. Because sometimes it can happen fast, all within 5 minutes. And for some people, it might take days before the whole thing comes to pass.
Okay, so if you didn't connect what Karen is saying, over a slow period of time, not really descriptive, but this can happen in a conversation, in one conversation. If I'm in a passive communication style and you're asking me for my thoughts and opinions, I can avoid 5 and 6 times with your questions and then be so fed up or so angry that you're still, in my opinion, badgering me that I blow up at the 6th or 7th question, right? So it can happen in that short of a period of time because of the exposure to what they're perceiving as bad behavior or poor behavior. Or this can be where for the first 15 years of our marriage, I just keep saying yes to you until I'm so fed up with the fact that my needs are never met because I don't speak up for them or say the word no, that I blow up in the 16th year of marriage.
And I ask for the divorce.
Yeah.
And I think that those are both really good examples. Thank you.
Yeah, these are patterns.
Here are a couple of ways that people listening can identify themselves. So I'm going to read a couple of things to you. Passive communicators will often fail to assert for themselves, allow others to deliberately or inadvertently infringe on their rights, fail to express their feelings, needs, or opinions, tend to speak softly or apologetically, exhibit poor eye contact, and slumped body posture.
These are very helpful things to be able to identify how we are behaving, right? Because, I mean, hopefully we're noticing our own shiftiness if we're avoiding eye contact and having a hard time knowing what to focus on and hoping they don't notice that, right? Posture is an easy thing to identify as well, how we're holding ourselves up, what our carriage looks like.
Geez, Kelly, we know that sometimes just by the way that our parents or someone around us says, you're slouching, sit up, sit up, sit up. We can often even be cued from other people. So if someone's listening to this and thinks, oh, I don't know if I slump, I don't know if I do that, it often gets pointed out to us.
Yep. And sometimes by a question, right? Are you okay? Or you look down, or you look sad, or you look inward. You look like you're inward, right? Like you're folded in on yourself.
I love that you're saying that, because that is a very commonly asked question for somebody who is passive. And for those of you out there listening to this, you know damn well what your answer is every time.
I'm fine. I'm okay, thanks.
We nailed the show right there.
Well,
and done.
Yeah. Well, let's get into what they feel.
Just saying. Okay. So if you have your emotional wheel.
No, when you have your emotional wheel.
Right.
Do your work.
Do your own damn work. In the core part of the wheel, because there are 3 levels, we're going to the core part in the center, and we're actually going to nail 5 out of the 6. We're going to go to fear, anger, disgust, sad, and surprise.
And this is what a passive communicator often feels, right? And the whole point of getting your emotional wheel out is for you guys to now go into the second and third tier to discover, if I identify as a passive communicator, what emotions actually ring true for me. We're not going to do your work for you. There's no sense in us reading the emotional wheel. We did that in September 2019 for you, right? If you want to go back and hear the definitions, if you're uncertain of what those words are, or if you feel them, go back and listen to a Sips of Sanity where we actually go into it. We are saying that even though passive communicators look agreeable, amicable, right? They're always fine. This is where you are in the emotional wheel pretty much at all times.
And if you didn't know it before today, then make sure you re-listen to this show to sit down, because you may need to hear the show more than once, because it may bother you to hear that you've been behaving this way. It may bother you in the sense that you feel shame first. And if you do, then okay, just identify that you're feeling shame about your behavior, but then be able to go back and listen to it again so that you can go with an attitude of, I need to understand this so that I can get the work done to change it. Because if you're a passive communicator, you're not happy. And everybody else around you doesn't know how to make you happy. And many people around you,
have given
that's
up.
not their job.
Or their goal.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So we're going to get into the other styles on other days, which we're looking forward to. If people want to join us for the rest of the series, you can head over to patreon.com/BySarlo. And we want to dig into the other styles, especially to be able to present you guys with the healthy communication style, and talk about the effects. These are important things, and we'll also be providing you with resources.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks for listening to Sips of Sanity. Catch the full monthly series on patreon.com/BySarlo.